Hey there guys, I'm Marten Customs Limited and I love making popular culture products for movies, games and films. And today we are making some custom Nike Jordans themed on The Matrix. Like most people, I've always been a massive fan of The Matrix. It was one of my favourite films growing up as a teenager, and I've always wanted to do a Matrix themed piece. And at this point, I've done quite a few shoes, but they're all kind of out there. They're all kind of bright and vibrant. So I wanted to make a pair of shoes that was a bit more grounded, something that you could wear on a daily basis that wouldn't bring attention to you, but are still really, really awesome and really cool. So I thought, what better project to work on now than The Matrix? You know, it's a very grounded color scheme. It's pretty much just black and green, scaling through different types of green. The concept for this piece was less so about a character, so it wasn't about Neo or Mr. Smith, it was more just the idea of the Matrix as a whole. So the idea was to have the shoe be essentially a computer screen. So it's got codes within codes within codes. So it's got the swoosh as the codes, it's got the code rain as the codes, it's even got the hexagon as codes, and it's essentially a computer screen that has all these codes in it. And if you can figure out all these codes, then you figure out you're in the Matrix. That was the sort of idea I was going for. Like I say, I always try and tell a story whenever I do a piece. So moving on to how I'm creating this shoe so far, I've got a pearlescent green fade coming downwards at an angle towards the toe box, which is almost black, but it's a very subtle, very, very, very dark green. And that was to symbolize that in the film, whenever he's in the Matrix, there's a slight green tint to the things there that feels like slightly unreal. You don't really notice it consciously, but it is absolutely there. So if you look really close at the toe box, you can see it's a very dark green, and that was to represent that. Then I'm popping some hexagons across the toe box. I wanted these to be a little bit brighter because the end of the shoe becomes very, very dark. And then these hexagons at the back, you can't really see it on camera, but because they're matted and they're against a pearlescent background, the way that they shine is absolutely awesome. It does look like a code on top of a code, which is really, really nice. So originally in this piece, I did want the code rain to appear as if it's coming down from the shoe and then transforming into Neo and continuing down onwards, and the same with Mr. Smith. But the shoe's just too small. It was essentially impossible. I tried a bunch of different methods to relay that effect, but it was just too difficult. If I was doing something like a PlayStation 5 version of this, perhaps I could pull such an effect off, but on the shoe it was just not going to happen. I tried so many times. Let me know in the comments down below, guys, if you'd be interested in seeing a PlayStation 5 version of this, because I definitely think I could bring that vision to life on a bigger canvas. Just like with the characters on the shoe, I tried a bunch of different methods of how to get the code rain onto the shoe, but none of the methods were particularly practical, like, for example, just covering the shoe in masking tape and cutting it out individually. Plus, that way you can't really see the composition, and this way I can compose the code rain as I'm moving through by using stencils. So moving on to the swoosh, I wanted the swoosh to be like code that is breaking off as it comes around the back of the shoe. Again, this is a code within the codes that are on the shoe already. And part of this design, like I say, I didn't want it to be about the characters. I wanted it to be about the overall feel of the Matrix theme. So I wanted it to be so that even if someone's miles away and they look at this shoe and they only see the swoosh, they don't see Neo, they're going to go, ah, Matrix. That's clearly the Matrix, isn't it? So the last thing to do is just putting the fade on the swoosh and then adding some green laces that I make in a moment. There was an idea I had to have the back of the swoosh to be completely black, but there's just not enough of the swoosh there to really translate that well, that there's a glitch in that matrix, in that part of the code. But I think if I did another set of squares that looks like a glitch behind that, that effect could be pulled off. But in the end, when I did a pair of these for a client, I decided to just go with the bare green. But you let me know what you think, guys, and yeah, get ready for the end result. So there you have it, guys, my custom matrix themed Nike Jordans. I think they look great under a black light. I think they look great in any situation. As you see there, I did a swoosh for a client that has a gloss feel to it with a slightly different sole and insole. Let me know what you guys think of these in the comments down below. If you want to purchase a pair of these, then send me an email or visit my Etsy store. It's Marten Customs Limited, or Marten at martencustomslimited.com. They're fully customizable as well, guys. So if you wanted to change the characters or you want to change the way the code rain goes, as I say, I had a client order a pair of these that wanted the code rain to go backwards instead of forwards. They wanted the swoosh to be gloss instead of matted. That's not a problem. I always welcome custom options. As I always say, I generally make things for me because I love all art. And so I think of myself and what I would want first, and then I create that. And then I hope that obviously other people like yourselves might like my video. But this was a surprise. I did not expect this pair of shoes to be, out of all the shoes I've done, one of my favorites. It's in the top two. I wear two pairs generally all the time. This is one of them. I just made them because I wanted them to be a bit more grounded as opposed to some of my other bit more vibrant, bit more out there, very, very loud shoes. But, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Do you think I nailed the overall theme of the Matrix, or do you think there's something I should have done differently on these shoes? Personally, I really like the way that they turned out. I think it does overall capture the Matrix as a whole, and it definitely is a much more grounded shoe than the other ones that I've made. It was a really tricky process, though, putting these together. I mean, of course, all you get to see is the overall creation in a 5-minute video. These take about 35 hours to create. But before that, all the testing and the different ways I had to go about it, it was a tricky shoe to put together, but I'm happy with it in the end. And if you've made it this far into the video, I appreciate you. This is Morpheus. Do a subscribe.